Who will get pole position today? I do apologise, folks. I am trying out a new mic, so I forgot to unmute it. Terrible error. Thanks, Connor, for letting me know. So let us know who will get pole position today. I'll be honest with you. I think Red Bull might do it, and I'd imagine it will be Max Verstappen. I think when you look at Sergio Perez, I think he's still trying to get used to the car, but he's improving. He is improving, so that's good to see. But I think you've always got to give someone in a new car at least 4 to 5 races to get used to it. But this is Red Bull. They like to not give anyone a chance. Anyway, we're just waiting for the cars to come out. They should come out in about 2-3 minutes' time. It is nice sunny weather in Imola today. Of course, there's always that confusion with, is it the San Marino Grand Prix? Is it Italian Grand Prix because it's in Italy? But of course, it's always a thing that seems to be. I always remember it as a San Marino Grand Prix anyway. Of course, we had Imola last year when, of course, the calendar was all a bit hit and miss to start off with, where they weren't sure which countries it could go to due to the COVID-19 restrictions. But luckily, of course, Imola was able to come in and help out. We all remember the circuit back in the 2000s and the 90s and the 80s. It's been around F1 for a long time, but it's always been hit and miss on the calendar. So they're showing the tyre compounds at the moment. Soft, medium, hard as always. If you really want to know, hard is 1.2, slower than per lap, medium 0.7. Connor Porter is going for Max Verstappen. He did get fastest in P3 earlier, which was the third practice session. Of course, people still call it free practice. I remember when it was just called practice session 3. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, folks, who you think pole position. And, of course, do subscribe. Now, let me just try and get the leaderboard up in front of you. There we go. Should be up with you in just a moment. It's up in front of me, but I'm just editing it without you seeing it. There we go. So there's your current leaderboard. Of course, what we'll do is we'll crop it once we know who goes out at first. Focus on Max Verstappen, the cameras at the moment. Now, let's get some more experience here, shall we? Let's get some F1 sound on. There you go. So you've got all 20 names on the leaderboard. Who will make it into Q2? Of course, let's not forget what we saw last time. Aston Martin had a real struggle in Q1 in Bahrain. Will we see a repeated thing from Sebastian Vettel? If so, then that's a worry. Because I feel like Vettel's dying out in a way. I honestly looked at him at first and thought, you know, this car would be helpful to him. You know, having a new team and all that as well. Just changing the clock. It's at 7:25. So there you go, Q1 underway. And they're showing at the weekend forecast. It's mostly going to be cloudy on Sunday. And it's around 14 degrees come Sunday's race. And I don't know if you've seen, but Lewis Hamilton showed a picture of him having one of the tyre covers round him the other day, and it's clearly very cold this weekend in Imola. But I think when they had this race last year, it was during the spring winter months, so it's not easy for any of them. Of course, this race would normally probably be best doing it in the summer. So it's now in Mick Schumacher. He's out on the track at turn 15. Mick Schumacher, of course, his teammate Mazepin had another set of spins going on yesterday. Bless him. His start is just not going well. But Guenther Steiner is boss, of course, at Haas. We all know from F1's Drive to Survive, he's an absolute hero on that. Especially the way he gets pissed off with his drivers. I absolutely love it. But he said he's thinking too much with his first couple of races. But look, he's new to F1, isn't he? Just like his teammate Mick Schumacher. But, you know, we expect a lot more from Mick Schumacher than Mazepin, especially when it comes from his family background. And, of course, let's not forget, he is the F2 champion. So Mick Schumacher out there at the moment, so is Mazepin. But those are the only two cars out. Just over a quarter of an hour to go. Plenty of time yet for the cars to go out and get themselves a couple of laps recorded. Of course, do get in touch with us on the live chat page. Do subscribe to the channel as well. We'll be doing the watch along tomorrow for our F1 race. Of course, there is a bit of syncing issues with the camera and the mic, so I do apologise. It's all new equipment for me that I've got, so it shall improve. Connor Porter asks, which team do you think will improve the most this weekend? Alpine or Aston Martin? It's a good question, but I'm not really sure, to be honest, because Alpine, I think there's something about Alpine where I just feel as though top 10 won't always be a thing for them. But Aston Martin showed, didn't they, in Bahrain, some problems that they had. I think if you're gonna ask me right now, I'm gonna say Aston Martin. I was gonna say Alpine then, so I clearly have no idea. Anyway, most cars coming out now. They're all on the outlap apart from Verstappen, Hamilton, Perez and Latifi. They're still not out. Now Hamilton. No fans this weekend, if anyone's wondering. In the UK, we've got fans trying out the Leicester-Southampton game as a trial. Only a few thousand allowed into Wembley. World Snooker Championship, that started today. There are fans allowed inside the theatre to watch the World Snooker Championship. But, of course, they're all distance and it's not a full house. So in case you're wondering if there were fans in Imola, there is not. Not from what I'm seeing, anyway. It's with Vettel at the moment. He's now on his outlap. Mick Schumacher with a 1.16. Mazepin way off there, second slower than Mick Schumacher. And Vettel still in sector 1. It's green for sector 1. I think he's got to improve a lot at the moment, Sebastian Vettel. I think he needs to remind us why he is a 4-time world champion. Oh, and he's just gone off track. Yeah, goes off track, so of course that lap won't count for him, which is a little frustrating. Oh dear! And Tsunoda is, well, he's crashed his car and his rear doesn't exist anymore. What's happened there? And it's a red flag. No doubt about that. It's only just on the edge of the track. And that's near turn 15. And that's... well, that's the session paused at 12:01. So I'll just readjust the camera. Sorry, not the camera, the clock. Oh, he's not happy. Tsunoda, I'm sure of that. But that's not what you'd hoped for. Because Tsunoda, he was fantastic in qualifying in Bahrain. Okay, he didn't make it to Q3, but he was quick. There was certainly potential in him. And let's not forget it was his first ever F1 weekend. But he'll be gutted with that, because at this rate he's going to start the race from the back of the grid. He's just got out the car and he's running to the exit. Simply just went off on turn 14 and turn 15 and then just hit the barriers with the back of the car. Completely had no chance. Completely destroyed the car. Kind of felt like the Wall of Champions in a way. Just doesn't give him a chance to get out of it. So already Vettel going off track. Tsunoda out. And there's no chance of that car being repaired before end of qualifying. There's no chance of that. I always feel sorry for the engineers, because I think as well as getting a good qualifying position ahead of a race, they might want to chill a little bit on a Saturday night and maybe enjoy food at their hotel, but instead they could be having a long night ahead. So the tractor's in, picking it up. Stewards making sure that it's lifted off the ground, but there's quite a bit of debris that they'll have to clear up. Big piece there that they'll just have to simply pick up before the session starts again. So it's the session has stopped until they clear the car. I don't think it'll take too long. I think luckily the track exit is just behind where the car was crashed. Anyway, get your comments in. Let us know your thoughts for this weekend in F1. Lewis Hamilton winning the first race of the season. Can Red Bull get an equaliser, as they're the, of course, main contenders, people reckon, for this season? The main rivalry being Red Bull versus Mercedes. Hamilton versus Verstappen. And they're going to take their time clearing this car, because the tractor, of course, can only go so slowly backwards. And Tsunoda is getting picked up by one of the medical team members, and he goes in the back of the car, and he'll be taken back to the pit lane. So Yuki, they're showing it from the onboard camera now, just completely lost grip of the car, makes the spin, and then it was goodbye rear. So we know at least one driver that'll be out of Q1, but which 4 cars will also be out of Q1? I think straight away we know the 2 Hasses will probably be out of Q1. Let's read more of your comments. Benjamin Bernardo says Vettel winning ride again, and he also says Yuki crashed. Yep, Yuki out. Connor Porter says red flag. It's a big job for AlphaTauri tonight. It certainly is, mate. It certainly is. It doesn't. I mean, the rear is. It's just the rear, isn't it? Everything else looks fine, but yeah, that's a big job. That's a big job. I'd love to see. In a weird way, I'd love to have an evening watching them repair a car in such a short time ahead of a race. I'd love to see it. I'd love to watch it just for an hour or so and just learn about how they fix these things. And it's incredible. They make the car look absolutely slick again. It's very, very cool to watch. So at the moment, you've got Lance Stroll at the top, Raikkonen second, Schumacher third, Russell fourth, Mazepin fifth, Norris sixth. But, well, actually, Norris has got no time, even though he's positioned as sixth at the moment. So only Mazepin, Russell, Schumacher, Raikkonen and Stroll have got times next to their names. Everyone else has had no time because of Tsunoda going out. Benjamin Bernardo got in touch again and says, yeah, that rear end is Megaled? Shame. While we wait for the session to restart, folks, do subscribe to the channel. Just click that subscribe button. It's free to do it. So don't be shy. Do subscribe. If you enjoy your Formula 1, this is the place to be for your live stream watch-alongs. We also do football, golf as well, tennis, rugby, you name it. We're also going to be doing a few of the World Snooker Championships matches by doing the final sessions of some of those matches. Started all today, Ronnie O'Sullivan, hoping to defend his World Championship and go for a record-equaling record against Stephen Hendry of 7. Of course, you're probably wondering, who am I supporting? I do have an Alonso hoodie on today. It's actually when he was at McLaren. I've had this hoodie for a while, so that goes back a bit. So session's still stopped at the moment. That's why you're probably wondering why our Q1 clock has paused on 12 minutes. Connor Porter says, watch the job Red Bull did on Verstappen's car before last year's Hungary Grand Prix. Of course, yet again with the Imola circuit, you've got beautiful sights around the track. And, you know, there's that question of, is street circuits the future for Formula One? I certainly hope not. I just don't like it. I think street circuits are unique, especially with Singapore being the first night race, with it being a street circuit. And the event itself is like a party at night. It's fantastic. You've got, obviously, Monaco, one of the toughest tracks in motorsport. You know, it takes no prisoners. If you make one little mistake, you're out of it. The barrier is so close to the cars. It's fantastic to watch. But that's it for me. Street circuits has just not been my forte, really. I like it when they go to outer tracks. Anyway, the cars are coming back out. The Q1 clock hasn't started just yet. So it starts in just about a minute's time, as they've said that the session will start again at 2:15 local time, which here in the UK is at 1:15, so we're only an hour behind. Sebastian Vettel watching the monitors back in the garage, in the Aston Martin garage, who, let's not forget, he was out on a lap just before Tsunoda went out, and he went wide, so he couldn't record his lap time. Valtteri Bottas also in the garage. Some of the cars have gone to the side and are queuing up for when the light turns on again. It's, of course, currently at red. All positioned in their cars, ready and waiting. And it will start in about 20 seconds. And we start again. So 12 minutes to go of Q1. Alex Donal saying Hamilton for pole. You won't put it past him, that's for sure, Alex. I have a feeling it's Red Bull again today. I think Red Bull have got one of those cars that's just simply qualifying pace, but also the race pace is there as well, as we saw in the last few laps of the Bahrain Grand Prix a couple of weeks back. Well, 3 weeks back. It's been that long. Big gap between the first two races. So it's definitely, of course, when Connor mentions it before, you know, which teams can improve. You know, they've had 3 weeks to look at how they did in Bahrain with all the data that they get. So a lot of the cars out at the moment, apart from Norris and of course Tsunoda, who will be starting from the back unless of course there's any penalties for other teams. And we've had ourselves a new subscriber, so thank you very much. Sergio Perez out in Sector 1 at the moment. He's on turn 7. His Sector 1 is good as he goes past one of the McLarens. Now, what can he do on Sector 2? Stroll's got the fastest so far in Sector 2 of 50.4. Leclerc out as well, just a few seconds behind Perez out on the track. And it's a purple sector from Perez in Sector 2, of course. I'm sure that'll get beaten by either Hamilton or Verstappen. And Perez is going to be fastest at the moment with the outlap he's just had. A 1 minute 15.5. And then Verstappen goes top. I think I'm just refreshing our live leaderboard because I don't think it's I don't think it's very well updated on the F1 website. That's why I get it from anyway. So I'm just updating it, so that's why you're seeing the leaderboard changing a little bit. So Verstappen top, Leclerc second, Ocon third, Sainz fourth, Ricciardo fifth, and now Bottas reaching at 1.14. Hamilton can only go third fastest there, at 15.1. And we're at 715 subscribers. Thank you very much for subscribing. It is free, folks, so do click that button and follow our channel. We're hoping to get to 1,000 subscribers. It'll hopefully happen in the next few watch-alongs. So we really do appreciate your support. We really do. I'm actually going to change. I've changed my camera for now because I've noticed my new webcam is being a bit out of sync, which I need to fix. So I do apologise for the lag there, folks, but hopefully I'll fix that for the next watch along. Perez out yet again. He's going to try and improve his time. He's currently, of course, in the elimination zone. So you've got Russell, Perez, Gasly, of course, Tsunoda, and Latifi. Latifi and Gasly haven't actually set a time yet, but there's still 7 minutes or so to go. Perez could only well, he couldn't get fastest in Sector 2, but he was good in Sector 3, and that should sort him out for Q1. Still 6 minutes to go, but I think Perez's pace there might be enough. Thanks to Alex Donnell, who has subscribed to the channel. Notifications just come up for me now. Oh, and Perez's time has been deleted due to the track limits. So he's going to have to go out again. And the Latifi track limits at turn 15 as well. Everyone's struggling there. It's taken out one car. And Gasly as well at turn 15. Everyone hates turn 15. They just can't deal with it. Just about 5 minutes to go. Kimi Raikkonen is going into the pits. So Bottas top at the moment. Hamilton did improve his time and he's now second. And the main man in the two men in threats really is both from Alfa Romeo, Giovinazzi and Kimi Raikkonen. Over 4 minutes to go. So the Tifi's still in the pit. Mazepin and Russell are the ones in the elimination zone. So is Mick Schumacher. So we're getting roughly the cars you'd expect to not make into Q2. But we all remember George Russell reaching it last time. So who knows? In case you're wondering, if you are watching, we will update the drivers that do go out in just a moment when Q1 ends. We'll put it in the scroll text that's below you now at the bottom of our screen. So Mick Schumacher's out there. He's going to see if he can get himself out of Q1. He couldn't last time in Bahrain, which it made me laugh because you had loads of news stories about Mick Schumacher not making it out of Q1, which made you think some of these journalists clearly don't follow F1 really. And I remember there were some people shocked on Twitter. I was like, he's not Michael Schumacher and he's not in a good car. And it was his first ever F1 race weekend. So give the boy a chance. Just under 3 minutes to go. Mick Schumacher's getting yellow in Sector 1, yellow in Sector 2. He's now on to Sector 3. And Raikkonen now the driver at risk. He's at turn 19. And he comes through and he doesn't... He stays at 16th, Mick Schumacher. But it looks as though Mick Schumacher may not get out of Q1 as he did in Bahrain. It's now with Lance Stroll and he's now up to 7th. A 1:15. Now Mazepin, who's no good with that one. George Russell, he's got green in Sector 1 and green in Sector 2. So this is looking promising from the young Brighton, who did very well. Oh, he's got up to 14th. Can he hold on? There's 2 minutes to go. Can he get one more lap in maybe just to improve that time? Now they've just shown footage on Nikita Mazepin. Now what's happening here? He's currently 19th. Oh, he's gone off the track. He was able to get himself back on it, but either way that deletes his lap time. Quite a few drivers struggling today in Imola. I don't remember much from last year's race because I think I was away when it was on, so I didn't actually watch it. Esteban Ocon's currently 10th. 0.6 seconds gap to the knockout. Of course, let's not forget the drivers in 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th and 20th, which has already been sealed for Sonado. Those will be the drivers that will not be in Q2. So they've got to pick themselves up here because they've got less than a minute to go. 50 seconds now on the clock. And coming down the straight is one of the Alpines. It's Esteban Ocon, who's currently 10th. So Giovinazzi's the main driver at risk at the moment. So Ocon hoping to improve his time just in case any of the drivers behind him go above him and make him go get closer to the elimination zone. But now Raikkonen, of course, 16th. Mick Schumacher, 17th. Latifi 18th and Mazepin 19th. If you've just joined us, Tsunoda has crashed his car, so that means he will miss out on Q2. Damage the whole rear, which will be a job for the engineers right now, pretty much ahead of the race tomorrow. So he'll start at the back of the grid. Latifi's out on track. Can he get into Q2? It's probably unlikely. I don't think Latifi's ever made it into Q2. I might be wrong. He hasn't this season anyway. Alonso's out on the track. Yep, Alonso. Haven't spoke much of him yet this weekend. He's 13th at the moment, so he would... Let's not forget, I think it was Alonso who missed out on Q2 in Bahrain. I might be wrong, but I'm sure it was him and Vettel. And, you know, talking about two former world champions not making it into Q2 on the same weekend is quite crazy. Speaking of another world champion, it's Sebastian Vettel. He's got Sector 1 in green, Sector 2 is green. He's now on to Sector 3. What can he do? Kimi Raikkonen is out there trying to improve his time as we've reached the end of Q1. So they're all on the last lap now. So whatever lap they're on, they finish, and that will be the end of Q1. It's now George Russell. He's a good driver. He's got green on Sector 1. It's yellow on Sector 2. He's out down on the straight. What can he do? Oh, he's got 14th. Nicely done there by George Russell. Can he hold on? He gets applause from his garage team. Giovinazzi, he's gone into the pit, so he finishes up. And look at that. Latifi 12th as well. Ricciardo 13th. And Gasly 11th. Wow. That's not good from Ricciardo, is it, really? He could do a lot better there, but either way, he's made it into Q2. But look at that. The two Williams have made it into Q2, and that's fantastic to see. Haas, yet again, two of the slowest cars, which, let's be honest, they would have probably both been 19th and 20th instead of 18th and 19th if it wasn't for Tsunoda, who crashed out. So Kimi Raikkonen misses out. He's knocked out another world champion that has gone out of Q1 this season. He joins the list. And that is a bad day for Alfa Romeo and Haas. But Haas yet again showing how bad this season could go for them. Anyway, that is the end of Q1. And in just a few minutes' time, we will have Q2 to start. So while that's happening, I better update the scroll text for you in case you're wondering who is out, and I will get rid of the bottom ones there. So Fernando Alonso, I think, was 15th fastest in Q1. That's what we've got in front of us here, the leaderboard on the left-hand side of your page. I'm streaming, go away. Anyway, back with the race. Qualifying, we're waiting for Q2 to start. And yeah, the highlight of that is the both Williams making into Q2. So who knows, they could have a few points this season. Early days, of course. So we're just waiting for Q2 to start. Anyway, do get in touch in the live chat, and of course do subscribe to the channel and give our stream a like. We'd really appreciate your support. I'm having to remind myself how long the clock is for Q2. It's not, is it 15? I might be wrong. I keep having to remind myself. Trying to get the scroll text to work for you. Nothing seems to work for me today. There we go. Apologies about this. If you just joined us, we're just waiting for Q2 to start. And if you're wondering who didn't make it to Q2, then their names are on the bottom below of the scroll text. So just a reminder, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, Mazepin and Tsunoda. Connor Poor says, I'm going to buy you a do not disturb sign. Yeah, I think I need one. I mean, I always shut the door and people still come in. It's like, can you not tell I'm doing something? Maybe when I get my own place, I don't have to worry about that. They're just interviewing Tsunoda now. Let's see what he's saying. That's if the nothing. Like I say, nothing's working for me today.
Great. Actually, I think the potentially it was easy to go through Q1 with one tire. I was too exciting until that. Yeah, it was for me. There was serious mistakes, and I feel really sorry for the team. You have to reset today and just drive my best tomorrow.
Any idea at this early stage the extent of the damage?
For me, at the moment, I don't have anything anything pain or like that. I feel worried more to the car than me. Looks pretty bad actually when I see on the back. So I really hope the car repair properly tomorrow. But yeah, just feel sorry for the team today.
It's a track that you know very well. It's a track that is obviously very close to headquarters for the team. It is difficult to overtake on, but what are your expectations tomorrow?
Tomorrow it's going to be maybe different condition. It's rain. It can happen anything. So just really put it all together and just don't do mistakes like today. I think it will be different view. It's gonna be difficult condition. So I just have to adapt the condition fast as possible and push until the end.
Thanks, Yuki.
Thank
Bad
you.
luck.
No, there you go. That's Yuki after his performance from Q1, which of course he's out, and him and the headline of the two Williams making it into Q2. Can they get into Q3? Who knows? I think George Russell is the one that could surprise us maybe. He always likes to... When I say surprise, as in a nice surprise, you know he's got potential to do it, but it's still a surprise if it happened. But yeah, it's good for Latifi as well. I mean, you know, I'll say this now about Williams. I think they're going to have a better year than last year and the year before that. I mean, the last 2-3 years of Williams F1 has been pretty poor. It wasn't that long ago we would see the likes of Felipe Massa and Bottas as teammates and be up there sharing the podium with Nico Rosberg and Lewis. Sorry about the little glitch there, folks. A bit of a Wi-Fi internet connection, which always happens when we're streaming. Of course, mention of Tsunoda. I wonder if he watched his fellow Japanese sports star of Heideki Matsuyama winning the Masters Golf last weekend. That was a big moment for Japanese sports. Anyway, there. 2 minutes gone so far. Most of the cars are going out already. Some of them warming up their tyres before they go and do their outlap. So, out so far. Tsunoda, Mazepin, Mick Schumacher, Antonio Giovinazzi and Kimi Raikkonen. Daniel Ricciardo, the slowest of the cars that made it into Q2. While Lando Norris was a lot higher up. Currently Norris, Ocon, Perez, Sainz, Leclerc, Ricciardo and Alonso are in the pits. And the rest of the other 8 cars are out on track. Bottas on an outlap at the moment. He's on medium tyres. Everyone's on medium tyres apart from, it seems to be Vettel. And, oh, they've just disappeared the graphics. I can't read the rest of that. It's a green sector 1 for Bottas. Verstappen has responded to that with a purple sector. Lewis Hamilton also out. So the main 3 you normally see on the podium are out on track. It's now on to turn 14 for Bottas and turn 15. That such a scary part of the track. As I say, it reminds me of Canada, the final couple of corners before you get onto the straight, which we all remember from Wall of Champions. It's such a scary thing. The F1 leaderboard online is so bad. It always has to be refreshed now and again. It's not very good. Hence why you're not seeing the leaderboard right now. There we go. Just about 10 minutes or so to go. Who will get pole position? And Bottas went off the track. Did it go over the track limits though? This really is one of those kind of qualifyings where, yes, you can go out and have plenty of time to get your laps in, but you have to really be careful because it's one of those circuits where everyone can go off the track. But again, you don't see Lewis Hamilton having any problems, do you? Which sums up drivers like him that can just do it on any stage. So 10 minutes to go. It's Perez out on the track at the moment. Only 13 seconds on his lap so far. The sector 1 is quickest from Hamilton with a 23.8. What can Perez do? He's on a... Ooh, he's got green on that. It's not a purple sector, so he hasn't been Hamilton's time, but he was close. Alonso out on the track as well. He's 11th at the moment. Of course, the top 10 go through into Q3. His teammate Ocon is out on the track. Hamilton top so far with a 1 minute 14.8. Verstappen, his championship rival, is second. Oh, Perez, purple sector in the second one. He's at turn 19 now. And he's found himself fourth. So he's behind Bottas, Verstappen and Hamilton. Of course, as I say, Perez is new to it all at Red Bull. But he's clearly proven to be second fastest compared to Verstappen in what we've seen in Imola and Bahrain so far. In case you're wondering, Verstappen was fastest in practice 3 earlier today. And Ocon up to 8th. Green in all sectors though. So he's definitely improved there. So in the elimination zone at the moment, and they've all got no times to their name, is Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc, Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Ricciardo. So there's still a bit of time for them to go out there and improve it. I say improve it, they haven't set a time, so they've got to do something. Russell 7th. Now, how amazing would it be if you could get one of the Williams cars in Q3? Certainly be a statement. There's no doubt about that. Lando Norris top now. Just as I said, he had no time before. I didn't know he was out on the circuit. Sure, that'll change. Sector 1 and Sector 2 were purple at 23.6 and 25.7. Sector 3 green with 25.3. He'll be delighted with that so far. So that was a 1 minute 14.7. Vettel 15th at the moment. Surely he's going to have an outlap. Ricciardo looking to be slowest in all three sectors compared to Lando Norris's teammate at McLaren. And I think Daniel Ricciardo's had to pit as well. Or was that Lando Norris? Actually, I think that's Lando Norris. Perez is in the garage as well. Just over 5 minutes left for Q2 to finish. His personal best in Imola for Perez, which I think was a 1 minute 0.15.6 tenths of a second. And also one of the Ferraris has gone into the garage. I think that was Charles Leclerc. They've just shown a slow-mo replay of him now. Whew. Nice bit of spark. He actually went in the air off all four wheels, only for a moment, but I think that was at turn 15. Nice to see a bit of spark out on the track. Of course, we do see a lot of spark when it comes to Bahrain. Don't think we saw that much, though, spark in the race in the last few weeks. 3 weeks ago compared to other Bahrain races that we've had. 5 minutes to go, as the reminder's sent out to the drivers. Lance Stroll and Bottas are on an outlap at the moment. So is Vettel. Vettel's finally out there to actually get himself a time on the board for Q2. Weather looks great today in Imola, but it is a bit cold. It's not warm weather, but the sun is out. And we do have a new subscriber. Thank you very much to Jamiki1. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Thank you very much for subscribing. And you can too as well, folks. Do follow the channel by clicking that subscribe button below. We'll be doing the live race watch along for tomorrow's race. That starts at 2 o'clock UK time. Vettel, not the greatest of times in Sector 1, but Sector 2's improved. And comparing his times with Russell. George Russell was 1.15, and Vettel's quicker than George Russell in Sector 3, and that puts him in 7th. So that means George Russell goes into the elimination zone. Pierre Gasly is a driver at risk. He's at 1:15.4. Stroll out again. He got green in Sector 1. He's trying to beat Lando Norris's Sector 2, which is a 49.4. And he's slower by 0.532. Half a second, that is. Can he improve from Lando Norris's, which is a 1.14.7? Nope. 0.420 slower than Lando Norris. But Lance Stroll now up to 7th. So currently we've got Norris at the top. Hamilton second. Verstappen's on an outlap with 2 minutes to go. He's third. Bottas fourth. Leclerc fifth. Perez and Leclerc on an outlap. They're both fifth and sixth. Stroll seventh. Vettel eighth. Vettel's in the pit now, so that's him done. So might have to be a little bit careful there because all the cars behind him on an outlap. So could that be Vettel missing out on Q3? Which either way, he's improved from Bahrain a few weeks ago because he didn't even get out of Q1 in his first race weekend for Aston Martin. So Sainz 9th, he's on an outlap. Gasly's 10th, he's having to watch over his shoulders. He's trying to make it into the top 10. But the drivers who look like... And I think we're back live. No. Yep, we are back live. Sorry about that, folks. Yet again, the internet connection's just not having it with me today. As I said, nothing's working for me today. The mic's just not in sync. The Wi-Fi's just not happening. And even my scroll text doesn't want to work for me. So sorry about that. So yeah, we are live again now. So apologies. But anyway, we've just finished with Q2. And if you're wondering who didn't make it into Q3, it's Carlos Sainz for Ferrari, George Russell for Williams, Sebastian Vettel didn't make it into Q3 for Aston Martin, Nicholas Latifi for Williams, and probably the headline of this one is Fernando Alonso. But again, with Alpine, again, a team that's got a lot of work to do, I think, to be competitive for the top 10. But Esteban Ocon did get into top 10 for Alpine, and so did Lance Stroll for Aston Martin. So the two world champions of Vettel and Alonso, it doesn't look good for them when their younger teammates are faster than them and have made it into the top 10 for Q3. Anyway, do get in touch. We are now reaching near the end of qualifying, so we've got one session left, and this is to determine who will be pole position for this weekend's race. Let me just get the clock ready. Of course, there's only 10 minutes this time in Q3. Not much time at all to get yourself some laps in. Just waiting for it to start. Cyanide Singh says it's Vettel being the headline. Yep, I think you're probably right. I think with Alonso, he's been out of F1 for a couple of seasons. I mean, he's still a good driver in my eyes, but probably not the driver we used to see, I think. So if you're wondering who has gone out of Q2, it's in the scroll text below. So there is your confirmation of who is out of Q2. So who have we got in Q3? So we've got Sergio Perez, we've got Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas, Pierre Gasly, Daniel Ricciardo, Esteban Ocon, and Lance Stroll. So those will be the 10 drivers battling it out for pole position. And we've got Greg Livingstone saying hi. Hello, Greg. Hope you're well. Greg being one of our regular watchers of our live watch-alongs. Hope you're well, Greg. So apologies, folks, for the connection issues we've had. We've dropped out a couple of times during the watch along, but when it comes to Wi-Fi, it's out of my control. And we got a message here from Seto Kaiba saying the fact that Williams beat Vettel, get this out of here, and Stroll got in. Yeah, the fact that you've got George Russell ahead of Vettel and then Latifi just behind Vettel for tomorrow's race, it's it doesn't look good for Vettel. You do wonder, I'll say this now to Vettel, see how this season goes. Of course, there's many races, there's a lot of races to go to pick yourself up and change it around, even starting from tomorrow. But I must admit, when Vettel left Ferrari, I thought, good decision. And I look at it as well where maybe a year out would have been a better idea. Maybe a year out. Because I just feel as though Vettel wasn't up for racing the last couple of years. I felt like, I think he even mentioned about family, you know, I think he sees that as more important right now. Of course, I think he's got a kid, so I don't know much about his family life, but I sometimes think someone like Vettel might benefit from having a year away from F1. So just waiting for Q3 to begin. 10 minutes on the clock in just a moment. Seto Kaiba saying, and what we learned last year is Vettel struggles to pass Russell all last year. Remember that. I think it just shows, doesn't it, how good George Russell is. Even though he's in a car that's not capable of winning races or even battling anywhere near the top 10, let's be honest, in the last few years he's been at Williams, it just shows. I think if you get a good driver in a crap car and they make it faster than it should be, you know, going beyond the limit and actually getting better results with it, that shows how good the driver is. It really does. So one or two cars just coming out onto the pit lane, just waiting for the clock to start for them for the final session of the Imola Grand Prix qualifying. While we wait for Q3 to begin, I think it's just begun now. So actually it's over 11 minutes. So I get mixed up with all these queue times. They change them every year. Used to be just 10, I remember. So Charles Leclerc's just ready to go out. He's got his mechanics just warming up his tyres with the tyre coverings that we all saw Lewis Hamilton wear the other day as his jacket to keep him warm. Must be his new sponsorship deal with Tommy Hilfiger. I wouldn't go down that route in terms of wearing that as my jacket. So Leclerc's just come out of the garage. So just over 10 minutes for these drivers to get themselves a good position for tomorrow's race. And I might be wrong, but yeah, Lance Stroll's already recorded a time. That's a 1:16.7, which we all know is not going to be the time to be fastest out of all the drivers left. Seto saying that Russell is definitely talented. Yeah, what he showed in that Mercedes car at the Sakir Grand Prix, if it wasn't for those issues the car had at the end, I'm not saying he would have won the race, but he would have finished second. I think he would have finished second at least. Greg Livingstone saying, I hate people saying Hamilton is the best driver. He not got the best car if he was in Ferrari. He would not be as good as well if we all know Mercedes have quality car, not driver. Cyanide saying, maybe the only season with Aston Martin in response to my comments about Sebastian Vettel. Yeah, who knows? He could be dragging them down. later this season if Stroll improves but Vettel doesn't. That would be very interesting. Of course, it's only the second weekend, and we haven't even had a second race yet, so who knows? Just looking at the facts, Daniel Ricciardo now second. Lando Norris top now with a 1:14.8, which of course is a big difference to Lance Stroll's lap time. If you haven't already, do subscribe to the channel. Do click that subscribe button if you're enjoying the stream. We really appreciate your support. We'll be doing the race watch along tomorrow as well, so do join us for that. Perez, fastest in Sector 2 so far. He's currently 4th. Where can he find himself with this? I think he does stay at 5th. No, he's top. 1:14.6. Perez has already improved, I think, this weekend compared to Bahrain. Of course, let's not forget how he did in the race, where he really did recover well after not being in the top 10. And yet again, the leaderboard's failing on me. Yep, nothing's working for me again today, as I mentioned. Technicality, it's been all over the place. My Wi-Fi's cut out twice during this stream. The leaderboard seems to have problems now and again as well. My scroll text won't work. Anyway, let's talk more about what's going on in this Q3. Hamilton now top at 1:14.4. Verstappen second, Perez third. So Perez has been pipped by Verstappen and Hamilton so far. Red Bulls would take this right now, I think. Hamilton pole, but them two right behind him for the race. Lance Stroll goes off at turn 15, and yet again another victim. But he didn't crash his car compared to the AlphaTauri of Sonado. Greg Livingstone asking me, did you see the Arsenal game on Thursday night? I didn't, Greg, but it was a fine win, and Lacazette certainly enjoyed it. I think Hamilton's gone into the pits. The only two cars actually out on the track are Verstappen and Leclerc with 6.5 minutes to go, so it'll be, as you'd expect, between the Mercedes and the Ferrari. Sorry, not the Ferrari, what am I saying? The Red Bull. A few years ago, maybe, with Ferrari, but I think we're all expecting it to be a battle between Red Bull and Mercedes going for that pole position. So at the moment, we got Hamilton first with the fastest time so far of Q3 of 1:14.4. Verstappen second. Perez third. Norris fourth. Leclerc has now gone into the pits. All drivers have gone out into the pits. So I've gone into the pits, yeah. Bottas 6th. Gasly 7th. Ocon 8th. Ricciardo 9th. And Lance Stroll's the only driver out of the 10 that hasn't recorded a time yet. And that's why he is bottom. But he's out-qualified his teammate yet again of Sebastian Vettel, who didn't make it into Q3, as you can see in the scroll text below. If you've just joined us, those are the drivers that didn't make it into the final qualifying session. We've now reached 717 subscribers. Sorry, yep, 717 subscribers. Thank you very much. Really appreciate the support. We're just waiting for the cars to come back out. There's 5 minutes to go. They're changing their tyres. Charles Leclerc is, that's for sure. The fastest sectors, it's been Hamilton for Sector 1, but for Sector 2 and Sector 3, Max Verstappen's been the quickest. Interesting. Can he keep it up, Verstappen? Because if so, well, if Hamilton improves otherwise, who knows? Maybe Verstappen could get the second pole position of his season so far, which, let's not forget, he got pole position in Bahrain 3 weeks ago. Aston Martin have got Stroll still in the garage. So all the cars clearly making a few changes before they go out for one last go. So no looking back for these drivers in terms of trying to make improvements now, because the time is slowly running out. Just 4 minutes to go. So we've got Lewis Hamilton who's just come back out on track. Fastest overall at 1 minute 14.4 tenths of a second. Just over 3 minutes to go. Hamilton and Bottas out on a lap. Still no lap time from Lance Stroll, but we've just seen another AlphaTauri come out, and I believe that will be, of course, Pierre Gasly, his new teammate from Japan of Tsunado. Missed out from Q1 because he crashed his car. His rear hit the barriers at turn 15. And that's why he couldn't get out of Q1. And Verstappen's out on the track, as his teammate Perez is on an outlap. So Verstappen's the last driver to leave the pits. All 10 drivers are now out on the track. 2 minutes and a half to go. Let us know. You can put in a late prediction if you want, folks, in the live chat page. Who will get pole position for tomorrow's Imola Grand Prix? Just about 2 minutes and 5 seconds to go. The cameras are on Bottas at the moment. He's just started his outlap now. This will probably be his only chance. Actually, no, I think he'll be able to get 2 laps, actually. So this is his penultimate chance of getting that pole position. What can he do here? He's been able to get a green Sector 1, but not as fast as Hamilton's. Now, can he beat Hamilton's Sector 2, which is a 49.4? Hamilton top of the leaderboard at the moment. Hamilton's out in Sector 1. Now Bottas at turn 12. Then turn 13. Can he complete? He's still slower than Hamilton. Slower than Hamilton in Sector 1 and Sector 2. So at this moment in time, Bottas probably going for top 3. Hamilton not far behind him on the track, trying to improve his time of the 1:14.4 tenths of a second. Hamilton yellow for Sector 1, so not great. Lando Norris fastest in Sector 1, which was Hamilton originally. Good move, good pace there we're seeing from Lando Norris. Hamilton, though, does pick himself up. He gets a green Sector 2 and a purple Sector 3, so he improves his time. He actually beats Verstappen's time of Sector 3, which he beats. But Verstappen, of course, is out at the moment on the track, who may improve things. Lando Norris, fastest in Sector 2 as well. Well done, boy. What can he do here? Can he get fastest here? Oh, actually, they've changed the Sector 2. Instead, it was green. But Lando Norris, second. And he does get claps from his mechanics in the garage, wearing the orange McLaren uniform. It's definitely a colour McLaren fans have got behind, and the team. Max Verstappen, his first sector wasn't great. He's done a lot better, though, in Sector 2. He's improved his time. Oh, and Lando Norris. His lap time's been deleted as he went over the track limits at turn 9. Oh, bless him. That's a shame, and that means he's now down to 7th. Now, Perez and Verstappen finishing second and third. Perez goes ahead of Verstappen, ahead of tomorrow's race. What a move from the Mexican. And it looks as though Hamilton could get pole here. And I think it is. It's pole position for Lewis Hamilton. He does it yet again. The world champion. It's actually his first pole position of the season. It's 1-1 against Verstappen in qualifying. Verstappen with pole position in Bahrain. But Hamilton gets an equaliser in Imola. And let's get the team radio on. Again, not working for me.
You got it? You got it, mate. Beautiful work. That's a surprise, isn't it?
Well, he didn't improve on his second.
Wow, that's interesting. It says it all when you just heard the Mercedes team radio there, getting completely surprised by that. I think that was a big surprise for Mercedes, but they have got pole position, their first pole position of the season, and it was a shock for Mercedes from what Hamilton responded on the team radio. But look at that, Sergio Perez second, ahead of Verstappen, which, to be honest, for Christian Horner, he'll be delighted to see the gap already closing of, you know, I don't think even Alex Albon even beat Verstappen at all in any of the qualifying last season. Do let me know if I'm wrong, but I can't remember it from the top of my head. So that is a fantastic improvement from Perez after the qualifying he had in his first ever race weekend as a Red Bull driver. But as we just watch Hamilton now, he's just got out of his car and has parked it on the number 1 spot. So the world champion will hope to do 100%. So pole position in qualifying and a race winner tomorrow if he can do it. He shakes hands with his engineers. A few of the Mercedes members there just watching him as he's about to get interviewed in just a moment. We'll play out the interviews in just a moment with all 3 drivers of Hamilton, Perez and Verstappen. Let's go through the rest of the top 10 then. So Charles Leclerc, that's a good day for him. He's going to start the race in 4th. Pierre Gasly as well, fantastic from him, the AlphaTauri. So the Red Bull and their sister team doing well there. Now I believe Bottas went off the track on his final lap. They're just showing the replay now, and that's why he'll start in 8th. Daniel Ricciardo 6th. Lando Norris 7th. Lando Norris did so well until, of course, we found out that he went off the track. So that's a shame. That's a real shame. Valtteri Bottas 8th, as I've mentioned. Esteban Ocon 9th. And Lance Stroll couldn't really do any improvements there, and he finishes 10th. He will be 10th tomorrow, but at least he's 3 places ahead of his new teammate Sebastian Vettel. And they're just showing Lando Norris's replay of him going off. Oh, it's so it is harsh. The track limits are, I mean, he is off the track, but literally by a tic-tac. And they're showing a slow-mo of the one of the engineers at McLaren just absolutely gutted because he could have been maybe top 3, top 4 for tomorrow's race. Max Verstappen now out the car. He's just checking his way in. And Perez will be delighted, of course. 2nd for him. He'll start next to Lewis Hamilton tomorrow. We now reached 718 subscribers. Thank you for the support, folks. Really appreciate it. And it's Michael Beardwood who has subscribed. Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate your support. And it looks as though we're going to get our interviews just about to come in now.
Well done, Checo. Wonderful performance. First row for you, 2nd position. How was your quali? Because you surprised everyone to improving, and then at the end, 2nd position. Well done. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I think first of all, I have to say well done to the team. You know, yesterday I did a mistake, and I made them work hard during the day. So it's a good recovery. But the most important is that we're showing progress. You know, I never expected to be here today. You know. Where we were yesterday, we've been improving, but it's just important, you know. I mean, to be P2, and I should have been on pole today. I did a mistake on my final corner, so I think it's everything positive, but we just have to make sure that we keep progressing, and tomorrow is what matters.
Yeah, and tell me about tomorrow, because usually it's your strongest part of the weekend, the race. And so you start from first row, you know, there's just for everything. Tell me about what you think about the race.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything can happen tomorrow. We are on a different strategy to Lewis, to Max. So it's going to be interesting, see what we can do. And yeah, most important, get those points, get that learning, which is priority at the moment.
Amazing performance. Congratulations. Thank you.
So that was Perez there speaking after qualifying second. I think they're going to talk to Verstappen.
You struggled a bit first in the last part of the quali, third position, and same strategy of Lewis Hamilton for tomorrow. How was your day?
Yeah, not so good in Q3. I went off in turn 3. It's a bit messy, just not a good lap, but can't be good every time, you know. So we'll see what went wrong, but it was definitely not the easiest in Q3, but still P3, which is a good starting position.
And tell me please about tomorrow, because it seems the opposite of Bahrain. You were alone against 2 Mercedes. Tomorrow you will be 2 Red Bull against 1 Mercedes. How will be your race? What do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Of course, we have the 2 cars on different tires, so let's see how that will work out. But yeah, we'll try to make it difficult for them.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Here comes Lewis Hamilton, his first pole position of the season.
And Lewis, what a day. Your numbers, your quality was just amazing from outside. 99 pole position, 30 different circuit record of all time. Congratulations. How was your day?
Thank you. The day's been great, obviously. I think I definitely didn't expect us to be ahead of 2 Red Bulls. I think they've been so quick this weekend. There was times where there were 6 tenths ahead. We didn't really know where we'd be, but the car was already feeling a lot better from the beginning this weekend. So, you know, mad respect to the team for the hard work to really narrow down the window.
And please tell me about tomorrow, because it will be opposite than Bahrain. No, you are alone against the 2 Red Bull behind. It will be not easy at all. What do you expect from the race tomorrow?
Oh, I love it. I love the challenge of, you know, I think it's great. Finally, we've got the 2 Red Bulls there. I think it's going to definitely make strategy harder, and it's going to be a real challenge tomorrow because they've got great race pace. I think their pace was a little bit stronger in the race, or a long run yesterday. So, but I'm so happy, man. I'm just so happy because the first lap was really, really nice, really clean. And there were some improvements on the second lap, but it wasn't quite as good as the first one. So, but I'm really grateful. I came around the last corner and heard that I got the pole, and I was super grateful. So.
Well done, amazing performance. Thank you, congratulations.
So that was
fantastic stuff. Just half a second separating the top 8. 99th career pole for Lewis Hamilton.
Nothing wants to work for me today.
To Sergio Perez, his first ever front row start is
So yeah, that was the top 3 drivers sharing their thoughts straight after qualifying today. Lewis Hamilton getting pole position for the first time this season. How many pole positions are we expecting from that British driver and that world champion this year? I think there'll be many to come. But as the interviewer mentioned there, I loved him. He's definitely clearly Italian with his accent. He was great. I loved the excitement in him when interviewing the drivers. It was quite nice to see, you know, a bit of excitement there in these interviews for a change. But yeah, great day for Lewis Hamilton. 99 pole positions. So he's one away from 100, which that's some achievement. That's some achievement. The fact that you can even beat Schumacher's numbers and then create your own is crazy numbers now. He's getting into the 3 digits of race wins and pole positions. He's getting there, and it just shows what kind of a mark Lewis Hamilton is leaving whenever he does retire from Formula 1 and hangs up his helmet. But anyway, yes, great day for him. And let me just read more of your comments. Connor Porter says, such a good afternoon by Lando Norris. It was so good, wasn't it? The 2 purple sectors in his last lap before Q3 ended. It was kind of like, it's a nice surprise again, as I've said before, where you know the driver's got potential, but in that car, can he? He certainly can. But sadly, he could have been top 4, top 3, top 5, something like that ahead of tomorrow's race, Lando Norris. But sadly, he went off the track, which was by a tic-tac. You know, it's quite, I don't know what people think of track limits, but I do think they've become tighter in certain areas in the last few years. I mean, the Circuit of the Americas, which hosts the US Grand Prix, normally is one of those known for it, where there's certain corners where you just think, come on, track limits really? Shouldn't it be a bit further back? But that's just the way it is. That's the rules, and they apply to all of them. And it showed that a lot of the drivers in qualifying today, we learnt that them going just a little bit off the circuit ruins their time. So it takes no prisoners, this circuit, for qualifying. But tomorrow it's all about what happens in the race. Still, I Rise 4485 has just got in touch saying he's responded to Greg Livingstone about Mercedes and Hamilton earlier, saying, Greg, the Mercedes was slower than the Red Bull, yet Hamilton is on pole and Bottas is 8th. And says, stop hating. I mean, yeah, it's a good example today. You know, I thought Red Bull had it. I thought there might be one last thing from Red Bull to make sure Hamilton didn't get pole today, but as you saw on the team radio, Lewis Hamilton gets surprised by his own pace sometimes, and he's done it yet again today. And Alex Donal asks, thoughts on Sainz Ferrari form? I think it's too early. It's not looking good. He's missed out on the top 10, but look, I think between me and you, Alex, and I'm sure a lot of us watching this stream right now, we all know who's expected to be the priority and the number one driver at Ferrari, especially with the fact that he's been there longer and he is seen as the golden boy from the new generation of Formula One drivers, and that is, of course, Charles Leclerc. And look at him today, 4th. That's great for him, and especially in Italy, that's great for Ferrari, that one of their drivers has been able to make it just outside the top 3 ahead of the race tomorrow. Will the car have pace? We'll find out. We'll see. Maybe there could be a podium. They may have to rely on some mistakes. Of course, Valtteri Bottas isn't in the top 4, so he'll be trying to close the gap on Leclerc and the Red Bulls and Lewis Hamilton, but we'll see what happens there. But for Carlos Sainz, I think it's just too early to say. He won't be happy that he didn't make it into Q3 at least to help Ferrari have a strong position for tomorrow's race, like Red Bull have and the McLarens. But I think it's too early to say. Maybe after 5 races, I always say 5 to 10 races, we start to see a bit more happen. But yeah, I think it's early days. We've got some more questions coming. Retaveni Rublex says, show us the race live. It's actually just finished. You've just missed out. The race is on tomorrow, though, at 2 p.m. That's the British time, anyway, and I believe the local time in Imola is at 3 o'clock because they're an hour ahead of the British Standard Time. Still I Rise 4485 says, also mention that Lando is destroying Ricciardo thus far. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. If it wasn't for the track limits, Ricciardo would have been starting the race behind Lando Norris tomorrow, but he instead, of course, will be ahead of Lando Norris. But yeah, Norris shows he's a lot more comfortable in that car. But again, this is only our second weekend, and as you say, thus far, a long way to go this season. It's so easy to think of what we expect straight away, and of course every point counts. But yeah, it's Daniel Ricciardo, I think, still trying to get comfortable. But we've seen today, look at Perez finishing ahead of Max Verstappen. Yes, it's only by 1 position, and who knows, come the first corner, Verstappen takes over the Mexican, and then we forget about what happens in qualifying. But just as we speak now, it just shows that you either get comfortable straight away, or it takes you a bit of time to get used to the new car and your new teammate, and of course the mechanics around you. Completely new team around you. Let's quickly mention Pierre Gasly, though. Again, Gasly, I would be happy to put him in a Red Bull seat again. I think he deserves another shout. This is why Perez needs to get himself going straight away, because Gasly's his win last year in Italy, he likes Italy, doesn't he? He's doing well here in Imola, and of course he won the Italian Grand Prix out of nowhere. last weekend. Just shows really what he can do when he gets his mind to it. So yes, it's Gasly's knocking on that Red Bull door. That's if he wants to go back there, of course. We'll see in the next few months, maybe, or maybe ahead of next year. Who knows? I really think it comes down to how Perez does, and of course Max Verstappen's future. Could this be his last year at Red Bull? Not many people have mentioned that, but what if Lewis Hamilton does retire this year? And I think he will, if he wins the World Championship this year, to be the first ever F1 driver to win 8 World Championships. So, it's quite incredible what we're seeing from Lewis Hamilton and his numbers. But I think he'll retire this year if he wins the World Championship again this year with Mercedes. And then I think Mercedes might look into Verstappen if they're willing to pay a lot of money for him, because the funds will be free to the team if Hamilton does go, because he's worth over, he's between $40 to $50 million a year contract at Mercedes. That's probably before the bonuses as well. So what a wage Lewis Hamilton is on. And he obviously, as you'd expect, earns the most money out of all the 20 drivers that we have on the team lineups for this year. Do subscribe to the channel, folks. Do follow us. Let's Talk Sport. Do click that subscribe button if you enjoyed our qualifying watch along today. We're at 719, so do help us get to that 720. Who wants to be our 720th member of the channel? Let's read some more of your crashes. Beer Brewer saying Yuki crashed. He did. If you're wondering when it happened in Q1. He just completely lost the control of the back of his car, lost the rear, went into the barriers at turn 15, and that was him out. And there'll be a lot of fixing to be done between now and the race starting tomorrow afternoon. So he needs to sort himself out. Well, the team needs to sort out the car, and hopefully he'll have a good race result, because you can't get any worse than finishing at rock bottom of the race tomorrow in 20th place. Of course, the ones that didn't get into Q2 were Kimi Räikkönen, Giovinazzi and Mick Schumacher, as well as Nikita Mazepin. Again, Mazepin, I don't think he actually spun today, so that's some progress for him. But again, he wasn't quicker than his teammate of Mick Schumacher. But Haas, yet again, 2 slowest cars at the 20, when both Williams cars, who you'd thought would have, maybe still would be their rivals at the bottom of the championship, but both Williams were able to get into Q2. And Alfa Romeo were the slowest as well. So we're seeing an interesting battle at the bottom this year, where it looks as though, again, it's only the second Grand Prix, but we're seeing, Alfa Romeo in there with Williams and Haas as well. But Haas at the moment, I'm sure the bookies will tell you, will be the favourites to finish last in the Constructors' Championship come the end of the season. So yeah, Kimi Räikkönen didn't make it into Q2. Fernando Alonso didn't make it into Q3. He'll start 15th tomorrow. Nicholas Latifi and George Russell, as I mentioned, they made it into Q2, which was fantastic for them. And that's why they will start 12th and 14th tomorrow. Sebastian Vettel, his teammate did get into Q3 while he didn't. Technically, he's improved from qualifying in Bahrain, but only to go into Q2 this time, not to Q3, which doesn't look good for the 4-time world champion. Let's have a look as well at some more comments. And we're at 720 subscribers. Thank you very much for subscribing. Annoyingly, YouTube doesn't always tell me who subscribed, so I'm not actually sure who it was. So I do apologise, but do feel free to put it in the chat page if it was you. And, of course, thank you very much in advance. Lewis Sedley, hello Lewis, hope you're well, asks what happened to Maisie's spin. From what my memory serves me from watching that qualifying just then, I don't think he spun, but he just wasn't at all quick. He had all sorts of problems, didn't he, in practice yesterday. He spun twice, just like he did in the race in Bahrain. So Gunther Steiner, if you haven't seen it yet, he did come out when he was interviewed, Gunther Steiner, to say that Maisie Spin is thinking too much about it, apparently. And Beer Brewer has responded to Lewis and has said Maisie Spin is a joke to F1. For the safety of all, he should be sent packing. Well, I wonder if Haas will be brutal to Maisie Spin. I wonder how many races they'll give him, because if this form is to become a thing consistently, which obviously isn't what Maisie Spin will want, could Haas maybe look at changing drivers after 10 races? I don't know, because at this moment in time, if Mick Schumacher's got the pace but Maisie Spin hasn't, well, at the end of the day, Mick Schumacher may have pace because that's quicker than Maisie Spin, but he's not quicker than anybody else in that car at the moment. Could they change drivers? The recruitment decision at the moment is not looking very good in terms of Maisie Spin's side. I keep calling him Maisie Spin now, not Maisie Pin. Lewis Sedley says Maisie Pin should be replaced with Albon or Solfin. It's not a bad shout. Albon, of course, is one of the reserve drivers for Red Bull this year, which I think it's just to keep him in F1 for at least another year. But that pretty much means he'll probably not get any race action if he stays at Red Bull. So who knows? I won't be surprised if Albon's agent is looking into that as a possibility, and I'd like to see it. I'd like to see Albon getting another chance, but at another team. I just think when you look at how Kvyat left Red Bull and went to Toro Rosso, as what the team was called back then after his poor start in Red Bull, to be replaced by Max Verstappen, which of course proved to be a good decision by Red Bull at the end. But you look at that and you just think, if you get dropped out by Red Bull and you go either back to AlphaTauri or Toro Rosso or whatever, or you go out of the Red Bull system, does that mean you'll ever get a chance at Red Bull again? The history will tell you with Kvyat, no, because Kvyat came back, didn't he, to Toro Rosso, and he left at the end of last season with no chance of getting into Red Bull again. Will that be the same for Albon? I can't see him going back to Red Bull. I really can't. Gasly, I think, is showing that he should be considered again for Red Bull in the future. If Verstappen leaves, maybe, or Perez leaves, or whatever. But as I said, Verstappen to Mercedes, I think could happen if Lewis Hamilton does retire from Formula 1. But let's not forget, next year F1 is going to be very different. New rules and regulations, which should have started this year, but COVID made sure that it was delayed until next season instead. Micro Office, hello Micro Office, says Russell still is ahead of the Latifi as always. Yes, he's a good driver though, isn't he, George Russell? He's absolutely fantastic to watch. He's making a crap car look good. And I think I've said this before about the likes of Fernando Alonso when he was at Ferrari in 2012, when the car was okay, but he made it win races while his teammate Felipe Massa couldn't win races. He'd maybe get 1 or 2 podiums if I can remember, but Alonso made that car look better than it was. But yeah, I think George Russell's got to be in with a shout for a big team next year, if not Mercedes, somewhere else, because you're going to get a great driver there, and I think he has got that talent of making that car faster than it should be. And I think when you can find a driver like that, you've got to pick them up, because they will make your bad days a little bit better. And he's doing that with Williams. And look what he did with Mercedes last year. Could have won the race. It was his first race in a Mercedes car, and his only race, and in a weekend when he was, having to get used to new engineers, new car, new pace, he absolutely nailed it. That was enough to say to me, George Russell is the future. And if he doesn't get a good seat at all in his F1 career, then what a wasted talent that would be. Sadly, we live in a sport where it's all about what money you can bring to the team as well as the talent. And sadly, I don't know what money George Russell brings into Williams, but he'll certainly bring you talent, and that's what's really important. Alex Donal asks, should Haas have gone for a more experienced driver? Hulkenberg, for example. You see, I was really surprised Hulkenberg wasn't picked up. He was out of F1 for a year, okay, he turned up for at least 2 races for Racing Point because Perez and Stroll picked up COVID. And he did well. You know, they had to sort out his seat fitting. I don't think they could sort out his seat fitting, I think, from what I can remember. But, you know, he had real issues. But he still was able to perform his best. And he was told, like, 2 hours before a race in Germany that Racing Point needed him. And he still turned up and did the job. So credit to where it's due for Nico Hülkenberg for being prepared for a race that I didn't think he would take part in on the morning of the race. Mad. But I think that's a good shout, Alex, because Hülkenberg, he is now what do you call it? Hülkenberg is now at Racing Point. Aston Martin. Is it Aston Martin? Yeah, I think. Yeah, Aston Martin. He is there as a reserve driver, so he's actually found himself a close enough seat for the for this season. So the fact that he's out there on the circuit in terms of, you know, the lobby and all that, and he's around there, helps him talk to teams, other team principals as well as his own, to, you know, get a seat for either this year or next year. I don't think it's the end of Hülkenberg. I think we could see him back. And I think Haas is a good shout, Alex, because Haas and Hülkenberg have been linked in the past. And I think Haas maybe should have spent a bit more money on their driver lineup. But Hülkenberg, I don't know how he would have done in this car. I think at the end of the day, Haas have gotten a very inexperienced team. 2 new drivers, new to F1. Mick Schumacher with the backing of his dad and his family. They couldn't say no to that. Let's read some more comments. Sean Gale, keep the comments coming in. I was supposed to end straight after qualifying, but I'll stay on answering your questions. I do enjoy talking to the people who are watching our stream. So do get in touch in the live chat page and we can talk more about qualifying and the race tomorrow. And also do subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe. Please follow us at Let's Talk Sport. Of course, we'll be doing a watch along tomorrow, so do join us for the race tomorrow as well. We normally start around 5 minutes before the race starts, so that's a bit of a heads up for tomorrow. Sean Gale, hello Sean, says that's what money can do, spin all you want but still have a drive. Yeah, and that's the problem, and that's why I don't know, but maybe that is why Mazepin has got himself a seat instead of, there was a British driver in F2, I can't remember his name, who had a great season, and he was in the shortlist to make that Haas seat, but he didn't get it. And you just wonder if maybe Mazepin is the reason why he got the drive, because of the money. Greg Livingstone says, Russell and Verstappen for Mercedes next season. That would be an epic team. I feel Ferrari should go for Russell next season. That's a good shout. I mean, Russell has got to be a Mercedes driver. Again, if Hamilton retires at the end of this season, and I'm only saying he'll retire if he wins the World Championship, because to go out with a record amount of 8 is the best way to go, and to go out on top, like his old teammate Nico Rosberg did. Can't fault that. You can't beat that. And he's been in F1 for such a long time, Hamilton. He started in 2007. So he's been around for, this is 14 years of him now. He's been around for a long time in F1. Not compared to Rubens Barrichello. I think Barrichello did it for 19 years and he didn't get to stay for a 20th year, sadly, to mark the occasion. But yeah, it just shows how long some of them have been in F1 for. And you get used to them as well. But yeah, Russell to Mercedes, I think, has to happen. I can't see Bottas staying another year. I felt like he might have gone at the end of last year, but because there has been patches where Mercedes have looked as though they lost their grip and promise and hope with Bottas, and then all of a sudden you get the news coming out that he signs an extension to the contract and you go, oh well, that's come out of nowhere. But I'll say this now to Bottas. Hamilton obviously wouldn't thank him, but I think Mercedes have got to thank Bottas a lot for kind of accepting being number 2, because he hasn't shown that he can beat Hamilton. He's won a few races off Hamilton, but not in terms of him actually. You've never really seen Bottas and Hamilton go head to head, have you? You haven't. And I just think this is why we do miss a bit of Rosberg and Hamilton's rivalry, because Nico Rosberg, in all fairness to him, did challenge him, and he won a world championship out of it. So I think Rosberg deserves a little credit when you look at Bottas, who has been a great number 2 driver, great support for the team to help them get Hamilton a few world championships and the team a few constructors championships. But that's it. Again, though, Bottas has been solid, just not really a championship contender, if you ask me. In the early rounds, yes, but not when you go into the last part of each season. But who knows? Russell and Verstappen at Mercedes next year, that would be some lineup, but there'd be so much. You could see Russell. It'd be exciting for us fans, but if you're part of the team management at Mercedes, you're not going to get the same as Bottas as Hamilton, where one of them might just accept being one of the number 2 drivers. Who knows? We've got a few more comments before we finish up the watch along. Beer Brewer says everyone was hoping that Russell was going to win that race in the Merc. Yeah, it was his, and then just that moment when it was such a shame what happened to him. You know, he deserves that seat at Mercedes, and if he had won, imagine if he won his first race at Mercedes. Imagine that. You know, 100% record in a silver arrow, or black arrow as you could call it now. It's no longer a silver car. But yeah, that would have been some story. And sadly, he didn't get featured in the latest season of the Netflix documentary of Drive to Survive, which I couldn't believe it. If he had won that race, he definitely would have been. I don't think they would have missed him out at all. Greg Livingstone says, where is Alex Albon, who was at Red Bull last season? Has he left F1 or is at F2? So, no, you never really see a driver drop back to F2. You never really see it. So, no, Alex Albon is a reserve driver for Red Bull this season. So, he's spending more time off the track and working on simulators. So, yeah, that's Alex Albon's plans this year. So, he's still in F1 technically, but he's just not in the driver's lineup. He is there in the garage somewhere for Red Bull. Sean Gale says the only way Russell goes to Mercedes if Lewis Hamilton retires, because Lewis already not talking to Russell. He can't handle the young gun coming in to take him on. I mean, is that true, Sean? Do they not talk? Do they? I mean, I don't know much about the background between Russell and Hamilton. I don't know what their relationship is like, but I'd have thought Hamilton likes the thought of Russell taking over him at some point, you know. Another British driver taking over him to try and become another British world champion in F1, which is good for British motorsport, of course. Something to look forward to when Hamilton does disappear. Lewis Sidley says, pretty sure Albon is reserved for Red Bull. Yep, he is. He's a reserve driver for Red Bull at the moment. So I think we might come to the end. If you do want to send us any more messages, do comment in the live chat page before we go off air. If you haven't already, do subscribe to the channel, folks. Do subscribe and give us a follow. We're currently at 720 subscribers, so we really appreciate your support. It's really, really helpful. But yeah, to reach 720, that is fantastic. So if you're wondering what our coverage is tomorrow, we will be doing this again tomorrow for the race. Our live race watch along, which will be with me and my friend Jack Price, who you might remember from the Bahrain watch along. So it'll be 2 of us tomorrow on air, and we'll be watching the race from lights out to the very final lap, and of course the podium celebrations come tomorrow. And we'll of course try and feature some of the interviews straight after the race as well. We'll try and get them heard for you. And so yeah, so do join us for that. The race starts at 2 o'clock British Standard Time tomorrow. Local time is at 3 o'clock for Imola. And I believe we will be live 5 minutes before the race starts, so it'll be around 5 to 2. So that is at 1:55 p.m. tomorrow. So anyway, we've got another comment from Beer Brewer saying, thanks Jamie, let's hope for a good race tomorrow. Thanks Beer Brewer, appreciate your comments and your company today. And yes, let's hope for a good race tomorrow. The 2 Red Bulls behind Mercedes, I'm looking forward to that. Talal Nasir asking, is qualifying done already? It is, Talal. It finished about just over half an hour ago. And if you're wondering who got pole position, it was Lewis Hamilton for Mercedes. Your top three were Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez for Red Bull, and Max Verstappen third. So anyway, I will go through the leaderboard one last time before we wrap up for you, since you've just joined us. Sean Gale says, great job, man. Thanks, Sean. Really appreciate it, mate. Hopefully you'll join us tomorrow for the live race watch along. And we're now at 721 subscribers. Thank you very much, folks, for the support. Really appreciate it. Let's try and get to 750 ahead of for tomorrow's watch along. We got Greg Livingstone asking, have you seen Formula E where they drive electric cars and tight tracks? So amazing. I have watched it, Greg. I'm not warm to it yet, Formula E. I do keep an eye on the races, as in I will watch the highlights and see who wins the races and the championships. But yeah, I look at Formula E as just a place for rejects of F1, to be honest with you. Most of the drivers we've seen in Formula E since it started in 2014, the very first season. So it's a very young racing series that's got bigger, and yeah, it's been very interesting. Most of the races do take place on the street circuits, and last weekend it was in Rome, in the city centre. Not all the fans could attend, of course. Italy's in lockdown, I think, hence why there's no fans this weekend for the Imola Grand Prix. But yeah, it was the first time since COVID struck last year that they were able to race in a city centre, which I found hard to believe. But yeah, Formula E, we might do watch-alongs for that in the future. Greg, who's your favourite Formula E driver, Greg? Anyway, before we wrap up, let's go through the leaderboard, since Talal Nasir has just joined and wondered what happened. So yeah, qualifying is done, and this is your top 20, well, all 20 drivers line up for tomorrow. So you've got Lewis Hamilton, his first pole position of the season at first. Sergio Perez beating Max Verstappen to second for the first time. He out-qualifies Verstappen after not making it into Q3 back at Bahrain a few weeks ago. What an improvement from the Mexican who has just started out at Red Bull. So Perez second, Max Verstappen third, Charles Leclerc fourth, Pierre Gasly fifth in the AlphaTauri, and the two McLarens of Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris will start the race in 6th and 7th. Valtteri Bottas couldn't get himself near his teammate of Lewis Hamilton in the top 3 today. He will start the race in 8th. Esteban Ocon for Alpine in 9th. Lance Stroll completes the top 10 in 10th for Aston Martin. Carlos Sainz didn't make it into Q3. That is Carlos Sainz for Ferrari. Of course, his second race weekend for Ferrari since joining them, the Italian giants from McLaren. George Russell getting ahead of Sebastian Vettel in 12th place. Vettel in 13th, who didn't make into Q3, but technically he's had an improvement from his qualifying in Bahrain, because he didn't actually make it into Q2 in Bahrain, but he couldn't get into Q3 this weekend either with Imola. Nicholas Latifi also got into Q2 today, so a big improvement, a big qualifying session that was for the Williams team and for both drivers. And Fernando Alonso, another world champion that couldn't get into the top 10. Let's go through them again. So yes, top 10 Fernando Alonso couldn't get into. And here is your bottom 5 as well. Fernando Alonso 15th. Kimi Raikkonen, another world champion, not making it into the top 10 in 16th. Antonio Giovinazzi for Alfa Romeo as well. Both Alfa Romeos couldn't get into Q2 today. And the two slowest cars, both the same car of Haas, with Mick Schumacher 18th and Nikita Mazepin 19th. And you're probably wondering, Jamie, Yuki Tsunoda was the slowest in 20th. But that's because his car had crashed out in Q1 after not getting out of turn 15 and losing the rear of his car. So that's why the Haas cars have escaped 20th ahead of tomorrow's race. So anyway, we have come to the end of our live watch along. Thank you all very much for watching. Quickly read your last comments. Greg Livingstone saying, I'm pretty sure Felipe Massa does Formula E. He has. I don't know if he still does. I can't remember, but I think he does. Sawyer saying a moment of silence for Pierre, Alex, and Kvyat, the three former Red Bull drivers who have sadly faced the axe. Sean Gale says Prez starting on soft tyres is like he's on hard tyres because he don't waste tyres. Should be very good race for Red Bull. I'm looking forward to it. Can the two Red Bulls stop Lewis Hamilton and get their first race win of the season, just to show Mercedes that they mean business for this season? Anyway, thank you all for watching. Do subscribe to the channel. Do give the stream a like as well if you enjoyed the watch along today. And join us tomorrow at 5 minutes before the race tomorrow at 1:55 for our race watch along. Do join us for that, and we'll see you very soon, folks. Have a good day.